welcome back to the channel. My name is InsideAgameR and welcome back to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 on my tutorial series. Yesterday I made a tutorial on the Cessna 152, a very brief tutorial to get you up in the air, and I was asked would I do the A320 next. Obviously people that might be new to the game want to get these jets and stuff up in the air and they want to know a procedure to do that. So that's what we're going to look at now. I'm no way near a pilot, of course. I play these games for fun, and unfortunately this default aircraft, not every switch and thing would be working to do an in-depth guide. But what I will basically do is show you how to get this plane in the air. Now this will be a two-part series. Today we're going to be looking at the ATC ground services, cold start and taxi. That's what we'll be looking at today. And the second episode will be the takeoff, autopilot with ILS landing. So we're going to be looking at two parts today. Now also yesterday I made a flight plan with Microsoft. I showed you guys how to do that with its own flight plan, and people were angry that I didn't show them how it connected to the plane. Basically it does it automatically. And that is the route that I have programmed in today. This tutorial will be based on that route because it is a very short flight. So we're here in Dublin Airport. That is exactly where we are right now. Dublin Airport. And we will be flying to Newcastle. Okay, so look, what we need to look at first here is power. Because if you see here, ATC is off. We need ATC to actually make the ground services work. And we need the ground power. That should automatically be connected really. Or we should have a separate instance. But we don't. So what we're going to do, we're going to go onto the flight deck. And we're going to bring up the overhead panel. Now, I'm just going to minimize this for you now for a second. So look, this looks quite complicated. We don't need a VFR map either. That was up from last night's live stream. Now look, there's a lot of things here, but do not worry. Actually, a lot of them are not working as well, which is a bit of a shame. Hopefully it will get updated as time goes on. But what we need to do is get power. Now it does say external power is available, but he's not connected. We haven't called him. So what we're going to do, batteries 1 and 2, master switch. We're going to flick them on. Now we don't want them on for too long because we don't have the APU on. So there's no generating for these batteries to keep them charged. So what we're going to do now is if you bring up the ATC, we should have comms, and we're going to see you've got 3 options, and we want to look at the ground services right now. And then you're just going to tune into the ground. And at this point, you're going to see everything you're going to get. Now every plane will be different. If a plane can have stuff, it will be here. If it can't, it won't. So what we're going to do is request the power supply. Okay, sometimes they talk to you. Today they're not talking to me. Okay, but that is fine. So the ground power unit is now on the road and available. So I'm just going to minimize that now for 2 seconds, and we're going to have a look on the outside. And you can see now the ground power has moved. That's what that flashing yellow light is in the cockpit now. It's a bit annoying. But there we go. We do have ground power. Okay, back here now. So we will now hit external power. This is the next button. That is now on, and now we'll be running on the external power, not our batteries. Now what we can do here as well, just so we can have a look at this stuff, we'll ask for a jetway connection.
Dublin ground, Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320, could you please connect the jetway to the aircraft? Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320, the jetway is going to be connected.
Okay, awesome. So they're going to do that now for us, which is good. So look, we can do some other things here. Look, we can request the catering service too. Let's have a look at everything.
Dublin ground, Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320, could you please send the catering truck?
Okay, we've got a beeping noise now. And that is the master warning. We have to acknowledge now that the plane has power. All the systems have come online. And here we go. So look, as I was saying about the flight plan, if you want to do it yourself with SimBrief, we can do that. I will do a tutorial on the MacDo. But the people from yesterday, they're giving me sticks. So here we go. The flight plan has already been entered into the FMC for you if you do it with the Microsoft Flight Planner. So that's basically for any of you beginners that don't understand all the SimBrief and the Navigraph charts and stuff. This is a very easy way to get you up in the air fast. Okay, we're not going to request the fuel because the fuel comes from a billion miles away and it takes a long time to get here. But just so we can see something else, you know what, why don't we ask for the baggage service? There we go. And we'll leave that as that. We'll go on the outside now and we'll have a look. We've got the catering coming and the baggage services are now starting to load. So look, that's looking pretty good. So the ground services are very easy in this game, which is what we like to see. And it's nice that it all kind of comes with it as well. No added extras. So there we go. So that's all doing its thing. So we're going to go back onto the flight deck here now, and we're going to continue looking at the stuff that we need to look at. So we're just going to bring up the overhead panel again. So we've got the external power. Now normally you'd start aligning your ideas, but unfortunately these are not working currently, so we don't have to worry about it. Your emergency lighting, again, we don't have to do anything about it because they're not working. But what you can, even the smoking sign is not working, it's on automatically, and the seat belts are inoperative and they're already on. So look, there's a lot of things that are missing that does need to come into play here. So hopefully they will update this very, very soon. Next thing you kind of want to do is test your engine suppressants as well, but look, inoperative unfortunately, but normally you'd press them and they'd kind of beep at you. So basically we're kind of here with everything where we need to be. So what we can do now is we can turn on the APU master switch, and then you're going to see turn on APU starter. Now that's going to take a couple of minutes to do what it needs to do. I suppose what we can actually do though is throw on our strobe light here at this point. Okay, so we're just going to go back down here to the flight deck. We want to turn on FD, the flight director. You're going to see this plus. We're going to need this as our takeoff. That flight director is this flight plan. So if you want to manually fly the plane, if you follow this cross, you'll be on the same path as your glide path, which is good. Okay, and we're going to have a look at the MacDo here a little bit. We'll go into it, and so basically you can just see, I will do an in-depth thing with this. But if we go to the init page, you're going to see here, look, it already has EIDW to EGNT. It's got our flight number, it's done everything for us. We can do our cost index. Cost index is usually around, say, 15. And we'll throw that in there. So cost index of 15. Now I can go get that data myself from SimBrief. If I put in this flight plan and if I added in exactly what I added in for the SIDS and stars, I could get the exact. Okay, so our performance index here, just have a little look. Hang on, let me just switch the camera over so when I find the MacDo. There it is. So there is a few things we still have to enter if you want to. Now, flaps on the Airbus is always flaps 1 for takeoff. So if we just press flaps 1, and then you know that is what our takeoff flaps will be. Now, you can do the trim here as well. So if you press, say, 1 slash up 0.5, it's going to automatically trim the aircraft to 0.5. But we won't go into that too much. Like I said, there's no point going too in depth about that. As long as you have your trim to take off, which I'll show in a second, that's all you really need. Now, temperature flex with the Airbus, there are 2 types of takeoff. You have toga and you have flex. Now, flex temperature, now we'd get all that from the SimBrief if I put in all these details. But basically, a flex the temperature is a protection of the engines. It won't push the engines to the max. If the engine does not need to be on full throttle on takeoffs, it makes the engines last longer. So we'll put a flex in. We'll say a flex of, say, 67. There we go. So we'll have that should be enough because it is a long runway here on Dublin, so we should be okay with that without me going into the Navigraph data too much. If we go into the flight plan, you're going to see here our flight plan is already kind of put in. We can scroll up and down. We can see that we chose the Liffey as our exit, etc., etc. And if we click on our destination, now we can choose the runways. So if we go back to EIDW and we look at our departure, so we already have runway 10 from the Liffey 2. So you know we'll just keep what it actually has. And for this, our arrival should be an ILS 25, which I clicked on the Navigraph. If we wanted to change it while we're up in the air, we can change it. It is no problem. And our start is the Pole 1N. So that's all in there for us. It's already put in. We can put in our 0 fuel weight. I don't know what it is for this flight. I haven't put it into SimBrief, but it's not a major concern. Like I said, that's if you want to go into in-depth flight planning. So what I actually plan to do is actually do that separately. That would be the plan here. So we won't look at this too much, but basically your flight plan is all in here, and everything in here is what you're needed. So go back to the init page. That is that really. There's no more we need to look at about that. Okay, so if we go back to the overhead panel, we can now see that the APU is available. So we're going to click APU. We're going to turn on the APU starter. Now that's going to take a minute to kick in, so we're going to wait for that to go blue. And we're going to come back down here. So our flight today we can kind of choose our altitude, but we're flying low. So what I plan us to fly is around, we don't need to go too high today, maybe about 20,000 feet. And we're going to leave it there. Can you see now we've got these 3 yellow dots? Just talk a little bit about the autopilot. That means the FMC or the MACD has, it knows what speed it needs to be at, it knows its heading, its longitude and latitudes, and this means it will hold this altitude of 20,000 for us without having to do too much now apart from flick autopilot. So the autopilot buttons here, what we do have, this is our airspeed if we want to indicate, change it up and down. It's a scroll, click in, pull out. If we want to go by heading with ATC, but we're not using that, we're using a flight plan today. Autopilot 1, that is for us. Auto throttle, which will be on once we do our takeoff, you'll see. Then we have, if we want to up and down the altitudes, we can. And this is our vertical speed. But again, the computer does most of the work for you. We don't really have to look too hard at this. So, here we are. So, anything else here really? For the moment, there's not too much we need to look at. All the radios and stuff on. We can put on our flight panels and stuff that we can turn up the brightness if we feel like we need to, which is kind of good. So we can see a little bit better. There's all the brightness and stuff here as well. If you want to check the flight plan, if we move this across to plan, and you can see here we have a plan. Obviously you want to scroll out a little bit maybe. And if you go down to your MACD and hit on your flight plan, and if you start scrolling up and down your flight plan, you're going to see it's going to move. So you can see the plan, and there we go, into Newcastle. So perfect, it's there, it works. I'm happy with that. So we're going to put that back to where it needs to be. Perfect. Okay, so we can turn off the external power. I've now put on the APU bleed. So if we go on the outside now, you are going to see that there's a bit of heat coming out the back. That means the APU is now on. So we can now think about disconnecting all of our stuff. We can just
Dublin ground, Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320. Could you please disconnect the jetway from the aircraft?
Okay, and we can now go back to our clearance. Now obviously we can tune into ATIS here, and we can tune into the ground.
Dublin ground, Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 ready to copy IFR clearance to Newcastle. Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 is cleared to Newcastle Airport as filed. Take off runway 10 climb and maintain 13,000 feet. Departure frequency is 132.15, squawk 7626.
Okay, so if you want to use the ATC, you'd have to go by exactly what they say. So they say 13,000 feet. So what we'd have to do until we were cleared for more is just change this down to 13,000 feet, and they will clear us when we can go higher, which is fine. Okay, we can acknowledge that.
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 cleared to Newcastle Airport as filed. Take off runway 10 climb and maintain 13,000 feet.
Okay.
Departure on 132.15, squawk 7626.
Okay, so what we're going to do here, this speed brake, if we pull up, you can see the handles come up. That's getting it ready now for takeoff. We have max on the brakes. You always want brakes on max for takeoff in case something goes wrong. It can try and stop the aircraft a little bit better. And basically here at this point we can now ask for our pushback. We can ask for our taxi, we can request the pushback, which is all fine. So what we will do, we will request our taxi. And we'll acknowledge that clearance.
Taxiing hold short runway 10 via taxiway Lima India November Kilo 2 Lima India November Kilo 3 Foxtrot 3 Lima India November Kilo 4 Hotel 1 cross runway 3 4 Hotel 2 Bravo Airbus 320.
Now, if you don't know the taxis, if you don't have Navigraph and you can't see the charts, now I don't have any charts in front of me. I know we're just going to go down to the runway 10 there. So that is all fine. So we're actually good to go here. So we can now ask for our pushback. And now the pushback guys are coming in. Okay, so we want to be pushed back here. We are going down to there, so push back to, I hate when it's always backwards. Request pushback, steer to left. Okay, okay, so we actually have to, okay, well, we'll put it straight for now. We need to go now onto the...
Alpha Sierra X-ray 320, your request has been transmitted to the operator.
Okay, so what we're going to do now, you're going to want to throw in the ignition. If you just zoom in down here, we put ignition start, and we'll throw on engine 2. And you're going to hear it kick in. Should start seeing it spin.
Dublin ground, Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 requesting pushback tug to steer the aircraft to the left.
Okay, as you can see here, you're gonna see it all kind of pick up. Everything's looking all right. And what we're going to then do is flick on engine 1. Okay, let's just push, the pushback trolley has gone, so we're going to request a stop.
Airbus Alpha Sierra X-ray 320 request to end pushback received.
Okay, so both engines there are spinning nicely. So we can go back inside here now, and we're going to want to throw on our flaps to position 1. Which they've automatically done, obviously, because we've inputted it. Okay, so we are here now. We are ready for our taxi. Okay, as we've ended our pushback, the engines have spoiled up now. So what we can now start doing is making our way for our taxi. So what we'll do, we're going to take a little look on the outside. Everything is looking good. Back inside then, back on the overhead panel now, and we can now throw on all our lights. Runway lights, we're going to throw on our nose taxi lights here, wing lights, beacon lights, strobe lights, everything is on. That can be on auto, to be honest with you, it wouldn't matter. So yeah, everything is set up, everything is good. Parking brake is off. We are moving. So if we take a little look on the outside, we're going to taxi down to runway 10. Which I believe is down this way. So we're going to head down. So we're just going to start storming down here through Dublin. Follow those yellow lines a little bit better than I just did there. So as you can see, we are approaching the end of the runway. We're going to go all the way down to the end. And we're going to see some markers that we're going to stop on as well. A little bit on the brakes. So we can see here, runway 16. Now, the one thing I have done is I have taken off from the wrong airport taxiway. So what I will do, I will taxi over to number 10. I thought it was this one. I don't have any charts in front of me which don't help. Okay, so here we go. So we'll be at the end of the runway here. It's no big deal. And what we would do next is very, very simple. We would make sure our pre-checklist is done. So we've got our speed brakes set, flaps to 1. We have our max brake set. Perfect. That is looking good. You can put your terrain indicators on here if you really wanted to. It is on. Only if you wanted to. You didn't need it if you don't want it, really, to be honest with you. It's more of an aesthetic, I suppose we should say. And there you go. We are pretty much good. That is our checklist done. Everything here is ready to go. Look, auto throttle is ready now. 13,000 is what they've asked us to do. So yeah, look, everything is looking good. So in the next episode, I'll be over on the right runway. I do apologise, I went over to the wrong one. Like I said, I don't have my charts up here. It's one thing I miss about X-Plane, having the charts ready. So yeah, so I will taxi over to the right runway and we will look at our takeoff, autopilot features and ILS landing. Now, I hope this tutorial has been okay. Like I said, there's a lot of buttons missing on the plane, which is kind of, you know, it kind of messes me up as well, to be honest with you. It's a shame. Hopefully it is something that will change. Again, not too sure. We'll have to see how this kind of progresses. Obviously, it's very early days. There we go, guys. If you are enjoying this content, please do subscribe down below to the channel. If you are looking for more tutorials on any part of the game, let me know in those comments down below. I'll see if I can help you out. And other than that, for myself, thanks for watching, and I will see you at the runway on the next one. Bye for now.